Hi, guys. Hello. Hi, guys. Hello, Veronica. Hi, good to see you. Wait, am I on the right? I am on the right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm on the right live. Because you don't have the spy thing. I thought you did. Maybe I'm crazy. Hi, Prexis. Hi, Armin. Hi, Jenna. Hi, Juju. Hi, Mariana. Hi, Fiona. Hi, Jillian. Hi, Mad Rotter. Hi, Theo. Hi, James. Hi, Jason. Hi, Jay. Thank you. Heroям Slava. Hi, Taz. Hi, Norm. Hi, Gap. Yeah. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Leona. Hi, David. Hi, Kareen. Hi, Lauren. Hi. So I have a couple of updates today that are not Ukraine news related that we're going to start with. One is hi, Mary Winkle. Hi, Kat. You guys have been asking me about this a lot earlier, and I didn't find. Hi, Ghostface, or hi, Kayla. So you guys have been asking me about this a lot earlier in lieu of when I released a video to shop Ukrainian, and I was trying to find like a good marketplace that will be constantly updating. Hi, Zoe's daddy. That'll be constantly updating their like uh they're oh my gosh, a good marketplace with Ukrainian products that would constantly be updating their inventory of different brands. And so I found one that delivers to the United States. The whole point is to the whole point of that marketplace is hi, Sky. The whole point of the marketplace is to basically introduce foreign audiences to Ukrainian products, and they are like a second party, as in like they work with Ukrainian brands, and then they are responsible for shipping, they're responsible for like selling these things. And I really like them. And also I reached out to them to do a surprise for Tork's mom because she's been severely depressed. Hi, Justin. Hi, Scooter. Hi, Graham. And so I wanted to do something nice to her. And I reached out to the marketplace and I was like, hi, so you're actually working, hi, Tammy, with a lot of brands that I really like. And I wanted to see if maybe you would want to partake in this awesome initiative, which would be just to send like a care package to Canada too, just to send like a care package to Tork's family. And they were like, yeah, of course. So a couple of brands are now sending like their own packages to the head of Leleka Marketplace. And and uh, and they're going to then put it together into one big package and send it to Tork's mom. I also reached out to Woolcrafts, the blankets, if you remember them, the ones that I love so much, the Kyiv blanket. And so they, I have a direct contact with them because I've talked about them before, and they're really sweet. And I helped them out a little bit. I like filmed a little ad for them. Well, no, they didn't pay me for it. I actually offered. Remember when I had a period of time where I wanted to bring to light Ukrainian brands, and so I found Leleka, which is a volunteer organization where they basically put in their own money to organize this whole thing because they want to help Ukrainian brands, and I love it, and I really like feel for the message because that's what I was doing. And so I want to show you their site, and their site is so nice too. They put so much effort into it, and they have a bunch of brands that are very cool. And so when I show you Leleka, I will also show you the blanket that Woolcrafts agreed to send to Tork's mom. And and it's really cool. So let me share my screen with you because I really want to show it to you. And I think it's so cool, genuinely. So wait, flip camera. Not mirror my video, but flip camera. Okay. Why is it doing that? Oh my gosh. Okay, mirror. And then now like this. Okay, sorry. All right. So Let me see how it's working here. You guys see it, right? Okay, cool. So this is, hi, John. So this is Laleka. It's laleka.support. It's this really cool site. And basically, they are introducing all of these Ukrainian brands. They have a variety of products. They just started recently. And so it's not huge, but they're constantly adding to their brand list. It's really cool. It says businesses receive money to keep operating. They can pay taxes and salaries. Ukrainian government uses those taxes to maintain economic stability, support army, and pay all salaries in public sector. Employees use their salaries to buy food, clothes, any necessities. Many donate to charities. Actually, most Ukrainian brands donate to sustain the Ukrainian army. Ukrainians are very helpful to each other. There is a section on stories of all different businesses. So this one's really cool. It's Ukrainian sun-dried tomatoes from Kherson. So these are Kherson tomatoes, and it started as a family hobby and then became a business. And they sell a lot of really, really cool things. These are traditional woven products. Oh, obrigada. And this is a jewelry brand. They have, vyshivankas here. They have socks that are not just dodo, but Griffon socks are really cool too. They have tumblers. They have things for kids. Honestly, it's so cool, and it ships. Oh, I mean, hey, if you like this kind of stuff, it ships everywhere, and it's really, really cool. There is a brand of natural Ukrainian cosmetics too. So look at how many different brands they have in their roster, and they're just starting. And they're just starting. And so here, if you go to say shop section, I want to show you something that that Woolcrafts is sending to Tork's mom, and they were so nice about it too. So Woolcrafts, this company is my favorite, favorite blanket company. They're so awesome. And it's called Brave Throw Blanket. It says be brave like Ukraine. And this is the blanket that we're sending to Tork's mom, who is depressed. It's a surprise for her. I did tell Tork briefly that there is some surprise coming, because I obviously needed to get her address. But so they're waiting. And then, I don't know. So I asked them if they had that blanket in stock, and they were like, no, we're sold out, but we're going to have it in the middle of October. And then they intercepted one. It's Laleka. And then they intercepted one, and they got it, and they were able to ship it to her today, which is really cool. And also, if you love sun-dried tomatoes and you are going to order from here, I would say try these. They're Kherson tomatoes. Kherson tomatoes and Kherson watermelons are incredibly popular. They have original sun-dried tomatoes, spicy sun-dried tomatoes, and flavored. Flavored are pepper and rosemary, which is really cool. They have a lot of really, really cool stuff, and some unique stuff, that you wouldn't necessarily think about right away. They have some dog toys. They have these car seats for dogs. They have so many really, really, really cool things. Puzzles, scarves, pillows. They have jewelry too. And yes, Angela, Ukraine does sell jewelry. So if you are interested in shopping Ukrainian brands, definitely check them out. They're really, really cool. I personally am a big fan, and I'm so happy that someone finally made a really good website where you can go and buy Christmas presents and stuff like that, And I personally, So my thing again, why does it keep mirroring my video? It's so annoying. There we go. So I personally find it so cool that someone finally made a website with Ukrainian stuff that's not only has all of this really cool stuff, but also is very well designed. And you could tell that it's so well put together. There's so many different products. There's so many different brands. You can read the stories of brands on it too, so you know who you're buying from. where you can find it. The website of the name of the website is this. I'll show it to you. But also I put it in the description of this video, so you guys, so you guys could easily locate it outside of the stream. But the name is leleka.support. Leleka means, leleka is a bird, and a leleka is a stork, I believe. No, iced. Yeah, iced. Leleka. Leleka is a stork. As you might know, storks are symbols of Ukraine as well. So yeah, so that is something just very, very sweet and very, very cute that I wanted to share with you. I'm also going to share with you what I did is I asked the businesses to, I asked the businesses to film videos of them putting together the package for Tork's mom. And they were like, why? And I'm like, no reason. And so I want to make a sweet little video about it as well, because I think it's so nice of them. None of them asked for anything in return or anything like that. They were just like, oh my gosh, a defender of Ukraine's mom has a hard time. Let's do this. And so, yeah, they're very, very sweet. And the owner of Leleka site, or like the CEO of Leleka site, she was so sweet about it too. She was like, oh my gosh, yeah, let's like figure it out. I'd really want to help. This is so awesome. And yeah, so they're just a very pleasant bunch. They're all volunteers. It's their own effort to make this website. It's obviously coming out of their own pocket. They're just very, very sweet people who really, really want to like bring Ukrainian brands onto the world arena. So that's really cool. And Lauren, it's spelled LELEKA.support. Leleka.support. So yeah, I think it's really, really, really cool. So yeah, I hope you guys found this little bit interesting and something different than normal that I start the stream with. Then another thing is a lot of you have messaged me about coasters because they haven't arrived yet. I am going to check the tracking on each individual one tonight, and I will send you all either your tracking number or an update. Hello. Last time I checked, they were still stuck in transit, but I will respond to all of you today. I'm sorry, I don't mean to like do it publicly or anything like that. I also know that all of you are worried, but I did want to address it. I've just honestly, if I'm being incredibly honest, I've been so terribly busy, and I mean like busy to the point where I'm overwhelmed. And anytime I look at a message that's asking me a question, I am like in an anxiety fit because I don't know what to say, because I know I'm gonna have to check something new and something else. And I am I like this past week and this week with editing and with voiceovers, and with the fact that Zelensky really liked the Ukraine history briefs on his page. So he had requested 2 new ones this week. So that means that I have 2 more voiceovers that I need to do this week. I'm still working on part 2 of the Tork video. I'm also not negotiating, but I'm trying to get another interview going. And I have other things that are just, like paying rent and stuff like that. And I have just like so many things going on that I'm so very sorry that I haven't been very responsive to you guys. I don't mean to like leave you hanging or leave you stranded. I'm just like slowly losing my mind, and this week is a lot for me. I'm also working for Mission Kharkiv, and I needed to compile like a review of a sort for one thing as well. And so I am just, there is one person of me, and I have 24 hours in a day, unfortunately, and I wish I had like 72 hours in a day. And I don't know how people run their own businesses, because this technically, I assume, is very similar to running your own business, because you have to like take care of everything. And I am like, I have a very newfound respect to small business owners, because holy it is so much. And so I'm very, very sorry. I'm trying my best to be, efficient and stuff like that. But I, sometimes Yeah, sometimes I just lose track of things. So I'm very, very sorry. But I'll get back to all of you, I promise, either by the end of tonight or by morning tomorrow, because once we're done with the stream, I need to finish like 10 things, and I need to finish them before midnight or like before 1, because if I go to bed at 4:30 one more time, I'm going to personally like murder myself because I need to start getting up early. Okay. Without further ado, let's talk about the thumbnail for today. So one of the most exciting things that has happened is Ukraine's NATO application has been received and now is entering the stage where all of the NATO members are going to be discussing Ukraine's accession and what they think about Ukraine joining NATO and what they think about Ukraine's eligibility and stuff like that. Now, obviously, it has to be a unanimous acceptance, but there are a lot of countries, including Canada, Lithuania, including including Canada, Lithuania, Poland, that expressed their undenying support for Ukraine's NATO accession, and their the way that they've received this application was incredibly sort of inspiring, because in lieu of the fact that when Ukraine did say that they were going to submit the application, Stoltenberg kind of was just like, yeah, well, anybody's welcome to apply. I didn't really expect their response to the application to be positive, but so far it's been incredibly positive. Another thing is that Germany, by Germany, I specifically mean Annalena Baerbock, she has said some very strong language about how negotiations with Putin are impossible and spoke on like behalf of Germany about it. And she condemned his actions in Russia in a really strong language today. And it was the first time that Germany used incredibly strong language to talk about it. So that's also something that gives me a very kind of like optimistic idea about Ukraine's NATO accession, because right after Ukraine's application was received, suddenly Germany's tone changed a lot. Also, Annalena Baerbock is like probably a German politician that I respect the most, and I think that she had shown herself throughout the course of this invasion from a political standpoint in the best way possible. She does not like hold back. She does not try to do this fake diplomacy where she's like, oh yeah, we're just going to try and be nice to Russia while we sort out our priorities. She's been always very firm in her beliefs. She's always been incredibly supportive of Ukraine. She's always been the first to express her opinion, and she's always been the first to sort of to use very strong language in it. So I really appreciate her. I will read you the quote from her later today, and you will see what I meant by it, but we'll get to it throughout the news. I just did want to mention it. So yeah, NATO accession process is started. We'll see how the countries react. We will see how that will pan out. But the first step is done. Application is received, and it is now going into the dialogue stage. So that's big. Genuinely, that is very big. So next thing that I want to talk about is Kherson. Kherson is making headlines again. Now, we do not have a lot of information coming out of Kherson for two reasons. One is OPSEC. Ukraine is not saying anything. All of the information that we see about Kherson right now is coming from the Russian sources and sounds about like this. Oh my God, it's a complete disaster. The Russians surrender in Kherson. All of these cities, they are falling. I wish I had better news for you, my dear readers, but I don't. It's really bad. Pretty much like that. I mean, I'm not even trying to be mean. This is just what every single Russian like frontline unaffiliated media on Telegram sounds like. They're all just freaking out. Now, here are a few things. Georgian Legion yesterday said that they have incredibly good news about Kherson front lines, but they can't talk about it because of OPSEC. They then also said that midnight Kyiv time is going to be the time when they're going to share something very, very, very important coming out of Kherson, some really good news. Now, that was 35 minutes ago, and I still haven't seen anything, so maybe we're going to wait, because OPSEC is such a thing that, you know, sometimes you think you might be able to share something and you might not be able to. Because Ukraine is not... So a week or two ago, I told you that we are not hearing anything out of Kherson, and last time we weren't hearing anything out of like the hottest front lines was because of operational security, and then Ukraine took Kharkiv back. Also, the entirety of Kharkiv so far has been liberated. So now there is not a single percentage of Kharkiv Oblast, according to various sources, one of which is malcontent, that is occupied by Russia anymore. So Kharkiv is fully free. Two, as I pointed out earlier, anytime there is like a complete silence from the Ukrainian government on how an operation is going, I will tell you it's going very well, because operational security. So the last time that Ukraine has been this silent about an operation was when we took back Kharkiv. Right now, Ukraine is being incredibly silent about Kherson. And from various different like reports and various different reports, and also various different Russian sources, Ukraine is steadily breaking through Russian defense lines in Kherson. In fact, Russian defense lines are like deteriorating with the speed of light. As in, at this point, the army of Ukraine is like, it's going forward and Russians are moving backwards. Like they're running and they are leaving their positions. Thank you so much. So yeah, so that is very, very, very interesting. And that is something that has been happening, only reported. Obviously, we only know like specific information from Russian Telegram sources, because they're freaking out, and Ukrainian sources are not saying anything yet. But I would say probably the next like day or two or three, expect some jaw-dropping news, because that's about how it looks. It's like, you know, even though there is high operational security, there is a lot of stuff that seeps through the cracks. And there has been a lot of stuff that's been seeping through the cracks in the past couple of days. So I think this is about the right time when we're going to hear something very, very big. So another thing that I want to say is that Tork interview has gotten an incredible amount of attention. So far, it's at like 6,500 views, which is big for my channel. Not as big as I hope it will be able to get, because I'd like more and more people to find out about it. I'd like more and more people to listen to him. Obviously, most of the comments are people who genuinely did listen, and people who genuinely were interested, and people who genuinely wanted to hear who Azov are and listen to the interview and did like listen to him. The other half of the people are people who listened but still had like, but they wear like this patch and that patch, and like they have Nazi symbols, and you can't just like say that because this guy says this, they're not a Nazi organization. So to those people, and first of all, one of the things that I want to mention about Azov that really pisses me off on the Western arena is that people call them members of the Azov battalion. Okay, Azov is not an organization, and you cannot be a member of the Azov battalion. You can be a serviceman of Battalion Azov of the National Guard of Ukraine, because I need to illustrate something to you. Azov is an elite battalion, similar to how US Navy SEALs are. They are an elite battalion in the American Navy, US Navy SEALs, right? They have a special course, they have special prep, they're highly trained and highly skilled. You're not going to call them, ooh, it's a member of the US Navy SEALs. You're going to say a serviceman, right? Azov is not a cult. Azov is not an organization. Azov, you are not a member of Azov regiment. You are a serviceman of the National Guard of Ukraine serving in Unit Azov, Battalion Azov, Regiment Azov, right? It's not a freaking organization. Now, two, people who say Azov was originally created as a Nazi organization. No, it was not. The person who put Azov together as a volunteer battalion, it was not even a battalion. Okay, here is how Azov was created. It wasn't created to be a Nazi organization. It was created to get as many people who are willing to go defend Donbass. So that's what they did. Dudes, guys who did not have any sense of fear, who did not mind learning how to use a weapon, who did not mind dying in combat, all got together and went to defend Ukrainian cities. One of such cities was Mariupol. They basically saved Mariupol from being occupied by Russians. Okay? And they had to give the group a name. The name became Azov because Mariupol is Pri-Azovia, which means right at the border of Azov. Azov Sea, Pri-Azovia, okay? So that's how it happened. They organized into a defense unit, a territorial, basically defense unit that was made out of volunteers. They did not organize based on like some beliefs. They organized on the need to protect Ukrainian city from a Russian invasion. So there was no like, ooh, we are all guys who believe in this and we are going to get together. No. One, two. Yes, the guy who got all of these guys together did have far right ties. Did he create this? Like, let me give you a different example. Let's say I'm a chef. I'm a butcher. Okay, I'm a butcher, I'm a chef. By profession, this is what I first of all, someone here says, look, I support Azov, but saying that they trained like Navy SEALs does not work. They're a militia. No, they're not a militia. They're an official regiment of the National Guard of Ukraine. And they do literally train by the same manual as Navy SEALs. So what's your point? You can quite literally research that and get a confirmation of that. That is their combat prep tactic. Oh, but still a militia that was adopted into a unit. Okay, cool. That was 8 years ago. 8 years ago. 8 years ago. They're governed by the National Guard of Ukraine. They're an elite battalion. Like people's freaking like ways of like how people are so intellectually inept and so intellectually limited literally like drives me up the wall. Drives me up the wall. Here is an example. Here is an example of how this fucking works. I'm sorry, but like I literally sometimes feel like I'm talking to toddlers. So leave. I'm not wasting my time on you. I don't care what you think. Your brain, the activity of the neurons firing in your brain is that of a toddler. Okay? You literally can't understand simple sentences about that. Anyways, so what I'm trying to say is that I sometimes feel like I'm talking to toddlers who literally are not like willing to even like process things on an intellectual level, right? Okay, the example I was going to give, let's say I'm a chef and I very strongly believe in butchering animals to make dishes out of them. Meanwhile, I am a chef and I have very strong ideas about my craft as a chef. I see that in my neighborhood there have been problems with kids getting home from their school buses because it's winter and it's dark. So I organize as a chef. I organize a group that's whose main goal is to bring a kid school bus to home from point A to point B. I'm not a teacher, right? I'm a chef. But there's no one else doing this in my community, and it's something that bothers me, and it's something I deeply care about. So I organize other people in my community who care about kids getting home safe, and so that's what I do. Okay. So then, does that make my group that helps kids get from point A to point B after school, are they all butcher chefs now because I'm a chef who believes in butchering animals? Or are these two separate things? These are two separate things. Yes, the guy who organized the people to go fight had some really questionable, really far-right beliefs. Guess what? He was booted. Immediately, when the Ukrainian government was like, hey, you are actually super motivated, super effective, and you show a lot of potential, we want you to be a part of the Ukrainian army. He was booted. Because they obviously didn't want a guy with neo-Nazi ties or far-right ties or something like that to be head of a military regiment. The reason why he formed Azov was not to support or feed his beliefs. The reason why he formed Azov was to protect the cities. And he wasn't looking for guys with specific beliefs or guys who agree with him on his whatever it is that he believes in. No, he was looking for guys ready to fight against Russia. And that's what Azov was formed on, not on some neo-Nazi rhetoric. And so it pisses me off so incredibly much when people are like, this guy was a neo-Nazi? Huh. So this is a neo-Nazi organization. I'm a UX designer. Is this a UX course? I'm a UX designer who talks about history and news on Ukraine online. Does that mean that every single person who's here is a UX designer because I'm a UX designer? Does that mean that every one of you is interested in UX design? Are you guys strongly interested in UX design because I'm a UX designer? I mean, hey, since I'm a UX designer talking about Ukrainian news, this cannot be simply about the Ukrainian news, right? It has to be about UX design tied into Ukrainian news, because what do you mean? If I'm a UX designer, then this entire newscast has to be centered around UX design within the context of Ukrainian news. How much UX design have you heard or learned from me? How much? Exactly. Silence. Because that logic of Azov as a Nazi organization is the same as me telling you that this is a UX course simply because I'm a UX designer. I now have a UN vote to supervise vote democracy. Are thousands of people that Russia killed going to be able to vote? Are they? Are thousands of people who fled from bombs in their houses going to be able to vote? Are they? First of all, the referendum itself was a sham and nobody ever asked for it. So there is not a need to vote because we never asked for Russia to come in and annex our territories. Here's the thing. Let me tell you. Okay, I live in a state of New York. Yeah, in 2014. Yeah, in 2014. Just because you found out about this conflict 8 months ago does not mean that you literally have an idea of anything that was going on. So here is another example for toddlers who clearly have no ability to critically think. So here, Let me give you this. I live in the state of New York, and there are some Trump supporters here. They're a tiny little teeny weeny minority. Tiny, teeny little teeny weeny minority, right? And they mostly live around Lake Sagandaga. It's a very beautiful place. There is a high level of alcoholism in that community, but I digress. Anyways, so those Trump supporters, they live in mainstream media wasn't talking about it until this February. Well, guess what? I'm fucking Ukrainian, and I don't need mainstream media to talk about it until February because I lived it. So you're trying to argue with someone who lived it about shit that you found out about 8 months ago. And you are telling me what my country or my people wanted. Like, people also love to be like, oh, but you don't know what they wanted because you're from the West. You live, okay, Americans, Canadians, okay, like you guys live, let's say you live in Texas. Do you know pretty much what the political beliefs of New York are? If you live in New York, do you know pretty much what the political beliefs of Oklahoma are? If you live in, I don't know, New Hampshire, do you know pretty much what North Dakota classifies itself as a state? You know which states are red and which states are blue, right? So you can tell which states most likely are gonna fucking vote red and which states are gonna vote blue. So the same in Ukraine. The fact that I'm from Lviv doesn't mean that I don't know that there weren't people in Donbass who weren't a tiny little minority who wanted to go to Russia. No, you are telling me why not have this vote, democracy, and you've like challenged me on something I've said a couple of times now. So you're not asking, you're like implying, and you're trying to get your confirmation bias. And I'm literally telling you, as a Ukrainian who lived in Ukraine since 1994 when I was born, who has parents who are Russian-speaking Ukrainians. My mom is a Russian-speaking Ukrainian. My grandmother is a Russian-speaking Ukrainian. For fuck's sake, my grandmother voted for Yanukovych. Disgrace for our family, but she did. And she still did not want to be a part of Russia. And she didn't vote for Yanukovych because she wanted to be a part of Russia. She voted for Yanukovych because, I don't know, he promised people better salaries and said that like Russian-speaking people are going to be like, I don't know, treated as kings. Not better, not because they were diminished or anything, no, but because he was like literally making the Russian-speaking population seem like they were superior to everyone. 1, 2, my grandmother voted for him. You know what my grandmother is doing right now? She's literally every day, every single day, screams about how dare they do this? How dare they do this to us? Why are they doing this? They're fucking crazy. She says that all of them need a lobotomy, that we've never asked for them to come and do anything. And my grandmother is a Russian speaker in like the super Western Nazi oblast of Ukraine, because I'm from Lviv and this is where all of the Banderas are from. And apparently we eat Russian children for breakfast. And Russian speakers are so diminished in my area that my grandmother is in her 70s and fucking loves living there. And literally doesn't even know how to speak Ukrainian, which I'm not even sure how that happened. But she spoke Russian her whole life. Oh, okay. Well, here's my aunt saying that my grandmother voted for Yanukovych because she thought he will keep the country in one piece. There we go. There we go. Here, if you guys want to know a little more about why my grandmother voted for Yanukovych, here is my aunt. It's her daughter, and she can tell you more. I was a little too young at that point to actually pick my grandma's brain on why she voted for him, but she never voted for him to join Russia. In fact, here, she voted for Yanukovych because she thought he will keep the country in one piece. There you have it. And you want to tell me that that people who are Russian speaking wanted to be a part of Russia? No, they didn't. There was a tiny little minority that wanted to be a part of Russia. But I mean minority, like literally, here's the thing. People will go to like Donbass and they will find like, I don't know, 100 people or 200 people out of hundreds of thousands, okay? And those people are going to be like, yes, I wanted to be in Russia. Yes, I love Russia. Russia best. Russia, love Russia. Russia bombed my house. I'm an alcoholic. I want to be in Russia, okay? But here's the thing. You can do the same shit. You can do the same shit in New York. You can go up to Lake Sagandaga and you can find Trump supporters and they're going to be like, we love Trump in New York State. And so what does that mean, that New York State wants to be a Trump supporting state? Does that, because there are a couple of morons who live in New York who are screaming, yay Trump, yay deportation, against immigration, you want to tell me that that means that the whole state of New York is a red state because there is a couple of morons living in Lake Sagandaga? Nothing against Lake Sagandaga, by the way. I just know that there is like a lot of Trump supporters living there. No, right? How much of a minority it was? 1 or 2% of the population of the whole Donbass might have wanted to be Russia. One or 2% of the entirety of the population of Donbass wanted to be Russia. A minority of perception, or was there a vote? I'm sorry. Is there a vote in New York whether New York wants to Trump supporters would want New York to be a red state. If there is a 1 to 2% of people who want to join Russia in a sovereign country, there is not gonna be a vote. It's a sovereign country. You want to fucking live in Russia. You pack your bags and you move to motherfucking Russia. You people, like, seriously, this angers me so much. Like, we're 8 months into Ukraine being completely bombed to the ground. To the ground. You're making me like scream. I am so angry. Ukraine is bombed to the ground. And you're like, well, was there a vote on whether people wanted to be bombed to the ground by Russia? I wonder, was there a motherfucking vote if Ukraine wanted to be bombed by Russia? I wonder. Why on the mother effing planet would there be a vote if Ukrainian people want to join Russia if there was never, ever, ever anyone advocating for any of that? Not a single time was there a Ukrainian population en masse that was coming out and saying we want to be a part of Russia. That is a rhetoric that Russia made up. Why? Why would we ever decide to have a vote on whether Ukrainians want to join Russia if no Ukrainians ever came out and said they want to join Russia until Russia came in with the tanks onto our country? Like, are you stupid? I'm sorry. But are you? So let's say I go to a newspaper from Canada right now and I say, hey, New York wants to be Canada. And Canada comes in armed to the teeth to the state of New York and says, hey, all of these New Yorkers want to be Canadian. And then finds, like, I don't know, 1,000 New Yorkers who want to be Canadian. Are you going to ask me if there was ever a vote on whether New Yorkers wanted to join Canada? Meanwhile, up until the point at which Canada armed, invaded New York, no one ever brought it up. Ever. So why on the planet would we have a freaking vote on whether Ukrainians want to join Russia if Ukrainians never expressed any freaking desire to be in Russia? Why is this so like vividly understandable when I'm talking about, like, isn't it like ridiculous to you when I say, hey, so, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this a little more. So, you have never heard of New York wanting to join Canada, right? Have you ever heard in America that New York wants to join Canada? Has there ever been some, I don't know, like, a talk like that? No, right? You've never heard that ever, right? Because what the fuck, right? Okay, so 3 weeks from now, Canada invades New York and annexes it and pays a bunch of New Yorkers to say that they want to be a part of Canada. The rest of New Yorkers flee because there are armed Canadians torturing them and demanding that they say they're pro-Canadian. And the world, instead of condemning that, goes, hey, so Now that Canadians killed half of your population, and now that Canadians annexed you, and now that Canadians moved Canadians to replace the original people who lived here, why don't we do a referendum? Have you ever actually asked New Yorkers if they wanted to be a part of Canada? Have you ever had what do you mean New Yorkers didn't want to be a part of Canada? Have you ever had a poll on whether New York wants to be a part of Canada? Did you understand how stupid this sounds? But for some reason, people only understand it if it's like a made up rhetoric about New York and Canada. But for some reason, when it's Donbass and Ukraine, it's like, oh, but have you asked the population if they wanted to be a part of Russia? Like, what the fuck? Genuinely. What is the percentage of the minority that wanted to be a part of Russia? Did you poll the percentage of that minority? So was it just like 2% on words, or were there polls? So let me get this straight. If we in Ukraine have never heard about Ukrainians ever wanting to join Russia, and after the armed Russian invasion, there surfaced 1 to 2% of Ukrainians that did, I'm gonna safely say that it's a 1 to 2% even after the polls, because the rest fled, and the ones that were pro-Russian remained in Donetsk and Luhansk. And those are a tiny little minority. And the rest are paid off people, and the rest are Russians who have been implanted there. So yeah, I think a safe assumption of an exit poll is literally the amount of people who exited Russian occupation of Donbass. Any more questions to anybody who is still not capable of critical thinking? Anybody needs any more explanation on that? No? No? No one? Odd. People painted this icon, the text of prayers, and the countdown of the walls of the dungeon where they were kept by Russian occupiers. Vovchansk. There are still explosions here. We've heard about the torture chamber found. They showed it to us. We saw these inscriptions on the walls with our own eyes. Icons, hand-scratched by the people who were kept there by the occupiers. Serifs of lived days and texts of prayers. It's hard to imagine the horrors people have gone through. Pavlo Sushko, People's Deputy of Ukraine. Here is a video that I'm going to show you. It's a police building in the deoccupied Izum, where Russians kept people. They kept the prisoners in completely unsanitary conditions and tortured them. It's a very creepy place. I will play it for you, and you will be able to see it right after I send it to you. And seriously, I'm sorry for yelling, but lately I've been genuinely losing my cool. Because I'm so tired of this bullshit. I'm so tired of these dumb questions. I'm so tired of this of this double standard of nobody would ever ask these questions if it wasn't about Ukraine. Nobody would ever ask these questions if this was like about New York. But for some reason, if it's Ukraine, oh, it's different. Should have pulled we should have just decided out of nowhere to pull our, population that never asked to have anything to do with Russia, whether they wanted to be a part of Russia. Where is that lovely imperialist person who hears an Eastern European accent and automatically calls it Russian from Twitch? Where are you, buddy? Here's the thing. I a priori can't have a Russian accent because I'm not Russian. I'm Ukrainian. If you hear some sort of an accent, then it's Ukrainian. And it's incredibly imperialist of you to assume that if someone has an Eastern European accent, that's a Russian accent. I've never in my life had a Russian accent because I'm not fucking Russian. And I'm cursing so much today because I'm so tired of this. I'm so incredibly tired of this. I'm Ukrainian. I could never have a Russian accent. It's a bit of a, under there. Я розмовляю українською мовою. Я українка. Народилася і виросла у Львові. Okay? So if there is any accent that you might hear in my speech, it would be Ukrainian. Guess why? Because I'm not Russian. Someone's asking, do you speak Russian though? Lots of people speak Russian who are not Russian and who could never have a Russian accent. Some Americans speak Russian. Some Polish people speak Russian. Would they have a Russian accent in their English? No, they wouldn't. Neither do I. Unfortunately, I do understand Russian. Unfortunately. Crimea, the dog who lost his family in Dnipro, is being treated and is slowly recovering. The invaders' base in Balaklia was destroyed by HIMARS. The best selfies you've seen today, 5 Ukrainian male and female defenders. So this photo is actually really funny. It went viral on Twitter, and I'll give you a second to figure out why. Look at this cat. Look at this cat. Look at his face. This cat is ready to take Russians out of Ukraine. The cat is like, I would be terrified to see that cat. Wait, what? I just got a very strange email. And I did not Interesting. Oh, I see. Whew. Anyways, sorry. Gazprom allowed Hungary to postpone gas payments, according to Bloomberg. Well, makes sense. Little, little minions of Lily. One sec. Let me just deal with a little Russian troll here. I'm speaking Russian to her because she understands that. Серйозно, я розумію російську мову. Та? А хто тобі так сказав? А хто тобі сказав, що я розумію російську мову? Я зі Львова, я взагалі бандерівка, знаєш, ми їмо таких, як ти, на сніданок. Я тільки розумію російську мову, коли вона виходить криками російських малят, коли я їх їм на сніданок. Я тільки в такому випадку розумію російську мову, коли вони кричать від того, що я їх з'їдаю на сніданок. А так то не розумію, ні. Вибач. Тільки розумію, коли знаєш, коли вже доїдає дитину, вона там докрикує, я розумію російську. А так, то я, в принципі, не розумію російську, вибач. Ну, якщо ти хочеш, щоб я тебе з'їла, то, ну, звісно. Ну, так, тоді зрозумію. Ти коли будеш, знаєш, там кричати, всяке таке, то я тебе вже, тоді вже зрозумію. А так то ні, вибач, сонце, не розумію російську мову. Also, to you, here's the thing. If you want to address me, then you either address me in Ukrainian or in English. I'm Ukrainian and I don't owe it to you to speak a language to you that isn't mine. Okay? So whatever you want to say in your little Russian language, you can do whatever you want. You're going to be yeeted in about 5 minutes. I don't need you here. I don't want you here. But also, don't you fucking dare speaking to me in a language that I don't desire to hear ever in my life again. And just because you decided to Russify Ukrainians, and just because you decided that everyone owes you to speak to you in Russian and everyone owes you to know Russian, doesn't mean that that's true. Even if I knew Russian, even if I understood Russian, I could literally tell you that I don't want to speak it. And you would have to speak to me in a language that I do understand and that I do want to speak in. So you can either do that in Ukrainian or you can do that in English. If you can't manage to do that with your little pea-sized brain, then leave before you are going to have to leave. Anyways, bye-bye. Installation of the artist Sasha Kurmaz, Russian Literature and Genocide. The work uses a photo of Mikhailo Palinchak from Bucha, taken in April 2022. These are Russian books, Russian literature books. And this is a photo from Bucha. The United States will soon announce that it will send 4 more M142 HIMARS in a new $625 million weapons package to Ukraine, according to Reuters. The Azov Regiment commander, Denis Prokopenko, deputy commander Sviatoslav Palomar, acting commander of the 36th Separate Marine Brigade Serhiy Volinsky, the Azov senior officer Oleg Khomenko, and 12th National Guard Brigade commander Denis Shela were awarded the Hero of Ukraine titles. Take a look. Nope. They all look so different. Like, honestly, I can't. I have such a like. First of all, hey guys, everybody who's Ukrainian here, doesn't Prokopenko look kind of like Taras Shevchenko here? Like, doesn't he look slightly Taras Shevchenko like after he's come back from from captivity? And I mean it like in the nicest way possible. Yeah, it is like a Purple Heart. It's a Hero of Ukraine award. But my Ukrainians here, do you not see the resemblance, right? Doesn't he look a little bit like Taras Shevchenko? Like it's the stash and it's the very serious facial expression. I seriously like I want to find a photo. Like I have a photo of Taras Shevchenko in mind that Prokopenko reminds me of. The Russian army struck Kharkiv at night. A 46-year-old woman was killed as a result of the shelling. So Gitanas Nausėda responded to Elon Musk. It's the president of Lithuania. And he says, "Dear Elon Musk, when someone tries to steal the wheels of your Tesla, it doesn't make them legal owner of the car or of the wheels, even though they claim both voted in favor of it. Just saying." The Russians shelled the Nikopol and Sinelnikovo district at night. Nikopol was hit the hardest. About 30 shells from Russian Grad, multiple rocket launchers, and heavy artillery landed there. 4 people were wounded. More than 30 multi-story and private houses were mutilated. The city was left without water. The power grids of the water supply pumping station were damaged. Shelling also damaged a school, a pharmacy, an industrial enterprise, a grain elevator, stores, and administrative buildings. Total losses of the Russian army today are 60,800 personnel. Over the past 48 hours, the armed forces of Ukraine continued to make gains in the Kherson region and allegedly broke through the border of the Luhansk region in the direction of Kreminna, the Institute for the Study of War reports. The supreme leader of Iran accused the United States and Israel of organizing large-scale protests. I love how, like, dictators always love to accuse the United States of stuff. It's like, oh, our people hate us? Oh, must be the United States, because, I mean, who can hate me? Look at me. I'm the best person in the world. I'm a narcissist. I love myself. I'm a dictator. Who can hate me? Why would they hate me? Makes no, it's so unreasonable. Ow. Hit my teeth with this thing. You guys, I'm having a blast today. I'm having a day. Ow. I'm having a day. Mobilization will further undermine the Russian economy, says Politico. The so-called partial mobilization is set to have huge consequences from the Russian economy. It will lead to a lack of qualified workers in all industries. It is noted that the more men the Kremlin mobilizes, the more men will try to leave the country. Putin can mobilize 300,000 men, but since his announcement, about 360,000 have already left the country to avoid being drafted. Also very interesting, what I wanted to say about dictators always blaming the US. It's like, the dictators work very hard and very tirelessly to make their population not opinionated. They want their population to be like this one amorphous structure that just follows each other and follows the dictator and follows like the belief that the dictator instilled, right? Because having your own personal opinion is dangerous. That's what leads to democracy. And so all of these dictators are always blaming the US because I feel like in their mind, their population can't stand up against them because the population is supposed to be so like subservient that they're not supposed to be able to organize against the dictator. Come on, they're supposed to be brainless. How? No, it can be. Has to be the US. Because dictators think that their population is so like in servitude to them that it can't be the population itself. It has to be someone guiding the population to do it, which it's like, no. It's like, the Russians can't protest on their own. They just want somebody to dictate them what to do. About 10,000 Ukrainian citizens have recently left the occupied Crimea, the Mehis of the Crimean Tatar people. The military leadership of the Russian armed forces has decided to redeploy Russian National Guard units from the Siberian military district to the war in Ukraine, according to General Staff. British intelligence stated that Russia has significant problems with placing, training, and equipping conscripted and mobilized personnel. Oh, I wonder, do they? Oh, I was thinking that they live under open sky and forests because it's good for their skin. I was thinking that they're sleeping on top of each other in conditions worse than those in Azovstal because it's just, it's just part of the training. And I was thinking that they have to buy tampons in order to treat wounds because it's just some modern technology that none of us knew about. Oh, and I thought that they need to buy their own boots, not because the military is broke, but because it's just a practice of like sanitary things. It's just like better that way. If you spend your own money on your own boots, it's like a symbol of good luck. Yeah. Another torture chamber of the Russian occupiers that was found in the liberated village of Veliki Burluk in the Kharkiv region. I'm going to show it to you in a second, and you're going to be able to see it on full screen on YouTube, and I will also show it here on TikTok. I don't think there's going to be any like sound, any subtitles here, so I'm not going to just going to do this. Okay. Oh, wait, sorry guys. Was this that? I see it. One sec. Sorry, I put the wrong video over here. Did I not? Wait, how does that work like that? One second. Torture chamber, yeah. Veliki Burluk. Sorry, one sec. So this one. Video file. Yeah, this should be it.
Вигляд має відділ поліції в місті Великий Бурлук Харківської області. Приміщення відділку поліції в місті Великий Бурлук. В кімнатах утримувались люди, мешканці міста Бурлук. І ось так звана катівня, де отримували та катували мешканців міста Великий Бурлук.
Слідчі та криміналісти Національної поліції зараз проводять необхідні слідчі дії на деокупованій території міста Великий Бурлук. Зараз
So this is the city of Veliki Burluk, and it's a torture chamber that has been found on the territory of a police station. that Russians used in order to torture local citizens. Reuters calls the latest successes of the armed forces of Ukraine the biggest breakthrough in the south since the war began. Ukrainian officials also reported the liberation of a number of settlements along the strategic Dnipro River. In particular, the Kherson Regional Council deputy Serhiy Klan stated that Osokorivka, Mikhailivka, Khreshenivka, and Zolota Balka had been deoccupied. Shares of Tesla fell nearly 9% amid controversial tweets by Elon Musk about terms for ending the Russian-Ukrainian war, including a proposal to transfer Crimea to the Russian Federation. I'll tell you more. There are actually a lot of people in Ukraine, hi James, who are selling their Teslas. There are people online that are literally like, anybody wants to buy my Tesla, I'll sell it. There's so many memes about Tesla right now in Ukraine where Ukrainians are like, a guy is like, hey, I'm gonna pick you up, and the girl is like, oh yeah, what car are you in? I'll come down. And he's like, oh, I'm in a black Tesla, and she's like, yeah, I'm not coming down. So there is a lot of memes like that, but to be honest, like I talked about it a lot yesterday. So if you guys want to find out a little more as to why this tweet was so irresponsible and so damaging and is going to result in a lot of like Ukrainian deaths, listen to my stream yesterday. Zelensky enacted the decision of the National Security and Defense Council on the impossibility of negotiations with Putin and the need to strengthen Ukraine's defense capabilities. Heroyam Slava. Someone says, watching you stim with your hands is fun. I think you have ADHD. I think you are correct. I don't think you're correct. I'm actually diagnosed with severe ADHD and some OCD. And I was diagnosed last year, although I do know I have ADHD and I have it very, very bad. And I lose my train of thought very often and I get distracted very often. And, concentrating on something is one of the most impossible tasks I've ever had in my life. And if I get overwhelmed with things like messages on Instagram, it becomes like so incredibly like overwhelming to see that. And then I just like don't answer them because there are too many. And now I don't even know where to start. So yeah. Putin is probably planning to test nuclear weapons near Ukraine. For this purpose, he sent a so-called nuclear military train in the direction of the front line, according to the Times. Within the day, the Russians carried out 23 strikes against civilians in Donbass. There are killed and wounded. The Russian military shelled the village of Khreshenivka, Osokorivka, and Novorontsovka of the Kherson region with heavy artillery. There is damage to residential buildings and power grids. There are fatalities and wounded among the locals. Air defense forces shot down the kamikaze drone Shahed 136 over the sea, which was trying to attack Odessa, Operational Command South. Ukrainian exports in September hit record levels since the beginning of the full-scale war. In the first month of autumn, Ukrainian enterprises reported abroad $4.14 billion worth of goods, the best result since February 2022. Export volumes have been growing since July, and the trade deficit has decreased threefold over this period. So Ukraine is coming back to being the breadbasket of Europe, and we're doing everything possible in order to export all of the goods necessary to feed countries. Also, I wanted to show you something. You know how Russia says that Ukraine did not exist as a country until a Soviet Union and Lenin created it or something like that? Whatever delusional fantasies they talk about very often. So I want to demonstrate you a picture from 1919 that will, I guess, blow Putin's mind. 1919, Ukraine. Here are people in Vyshyvankas. Ukraine. And also it's bigger. It has Kuban. Kuban, This is Ukraine, 1919. Just FYI. So apparently, according to Putin, the word Ukraine didn't even exist until Lenin created it. Oh, I mean, they spell everything wrong here. It says Kharkiv, Kiev, Odessa, Lviv. There's it's all over the place, But yeah, but here is this is Ukraine. This is a map of Ukraine in English with Ukrainian people posing in front of it. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting and fascinating? Oh, also I had a moment of of feeling lightly like a celebrity a little bit. So, well, I'm joking, but here's the thing. So, United 24 Media responded to Elon Musk saying, "Everyone makes mistakes, Elon Musk. It's what video from United Media you watch first to stop tweeting crap that matters." And they responded with this.
Ukraine. Thus, in 1954, the peninsula transferred to Ukraine. When the USSR collapsed, everyone, including Putin, recognized Crimea as...
And you would think that is the only video that they included, but no.
For its independence, in 839, the state of Rus was formed around Kyiv. 800 years later.
You would think that's it?
Donbass?
No,
Easy.
not yet.
It's part of Ukraine. Donbass means Donetsk coal basin. It roughly spreads over two eastern regions.
So yeah, that was very nice. When somebody tried to shut Elon Musk up with my voice, I was like, ooh. Ooh. When Elon Musk gets shut up with your history rubric. I'm kidding. Alexander Lukashenko, for the first time, acknowledged the participation of Belarus in the Russian Federation's war against Ukraine. His words were quoted by the Belarusian state news agency BelTA. "We are involved there. We do not hide it. But we do not kill anyone. We don't send our troops anywhere. We don't violate our obligations," Lukashenko said. Yeah, so you just let Russia use you as a base for missiles to... What do you mean you don't kill anybody? There were rockets and, missiles, bombs, all that stuff coming from the territory of Belarus that killed quite a few Ukrainians. You let Russian troops come in from the territory of Belarus and, commit all of those murders and atrocities in Bucha. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't kill anybody? What do you mean? What do you mean? That's a nice way to avoid responsibility. That's cute. I mean, it's sweet, kind of, but not reality. No, just because you didn't physically go there and do this doesn't mean you're not responsible. Хані, і твій прекрасний російський акцент. Я розумію, хто ти такий, я знаю, що ти повернувся з твічу. Факт того, що тобі нема що більше в житті робити, чим те, щоб мене переслідувати, божечко. Кицю, я сподіваюся, що в тебе появиться щось в житті робити краще, ніж це, бо це не солідно. Це якось пронизливо, ти знаєш, що ти почекав 30 хвилин і вернувся. Заєць. Піди краще горілки попий, серйозно. Tactical nuclear weapons of the Russian Federation are locked up in about a dozen warehouses across Russia, and it would take time to transport them to launchers, writes Bloomberg. At a certain level of readiness, weapons are taken out of storage facilities and moved to some other places for days if necessary. This would be detected by satellites or other means, said Pavel Podvig, a nuclear security expert at the UN Institute for Disarmament Research in Geneva. Sergei Shoigu, the Russian Federation Minister of Defense, announced that allegedly 200,000 Russians joined the armed forces of the aggressor country during the week of mobilization. Yeah, joined. At the same time, according to Shoigu, the personnel of the formed units are trained at 80 training ranges and 6 training centers. For how long? For an hour? Okay, Elon Musk did not supply Ukraine with Starlink. Elon Musk took Starlink, the older model that was discontinued, that he needed to get rid of anyway, and he sold it to the US and the UK government. They paid all of the, they paid for all of the Starlinks, and they paid for all of the terminals. They paid for everything. And then he only took the cost of transporting those Starlinks to Ukraine onto himself. But this was dead stock Starlinks that he was going to get rid of anyway, and he managed to make money on them. So it was not an act of goodwill. It was an act of making money. Russian soldiers surrender en masse, main Directorate of Intelligence of Ukraine. According to Andriy Yusov, military intelligence representative, a surge in appeals was observed after the successful counterattack by armed forces of Ukraine in the Kharkiv region and after the announcement of partial mobilization in the Russian Federation. Ukraine's official application for accelerated accession to NATO has formalized a dialogue on future membership. Now the alliance will begin discussing this at the official level, said head of the mission of Ukraine to NATO, Natalia Halibarenko. As for the specific action plan, of course, the ball is on NATO's side here. After the application was submitted, the member states have to discuss it and express their position, Halibarenko specified. One of the first discussions will be at the level of ambassadors, and the second will presumably take place already within the framework of the meeting of defense ministers during the Rammstein format on October 12th to 13th. Here is a video from Ukraine Now, and so you know it. I'm about to play it. You know I love Ukraine Now, and I love their videos. Here's the title to it. What should be the Western goal in Ukraine? President Volodymyr Zelensky and the Ukrainian leadership have already announced it many times, Ukrainian victory. For the security of Europe, it is necessary for Ukraine to defeat the Russian army and regain control over all its occupied territory. Any smaller target would reward Putin's aggression and leave the Russian military in place to regroup and attack again. And for Ukraine to win, it is necessary to adjust Western military aid. Seni. Behave yourself, baby. Sorry, I'll make my dog. He is very funny. Whoop. Okay. You know how it works. Let me move you. Okay. Sorry. Yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me about the mic. So this is the quote from Annalena Baerbock, who is the German foreign minister. And she said, I quote, "Now there is no chance that the negotiations will put an end to the war unleashed by Russia against Ukraine." His, Putin, proposal sounded something like this: "We will rob your country, enslave your citizens, and then you can sign peace." It's the opposite of the peace. It is terror and lack of freedom, she said in an interview with the Neue Osnabrücker Zeitung. And it's incredibly important that she used language as harsh as this. This is what I was saying in the beginning of the stream, because this is not just her saying, "Oh, we don't support, oh, it's wrong, oh, Putin is not, he's not doing something right." No, this literally says, your proposal sounds like this: "We will rob your country, enslave your citizens, and then you can sign peace." And this is one of the most direct condemnations that I've heard from European leaders. And I've been hearing them more and more lately. And I mean from Western European leaders, not just from Eastern European leaders. And that is a very, very big sign of the shift, where if before we could see that Western European countries were still trying to kind of stay, supporting Ukraine, but also not truly like completely screw up their relationship with Russia, now it's very obvious that they're trying to, they don't care anymore. Macron was one of them. Now Annalena Baerbock. It's big. Прапор України синьо-жовтий, а не наоборот. Не навпаки, я знаю, але я, це ж не прапор України, це просто кольори України. Я ж не намагаюся імітувати прапор сердечками, я просто кольори ставлю наші. А не тому, що якби симулювати прапор. Ну, прапор України в загальному іде якби жовтий, синій, тобто жовтий знизу, потім синій зверху. The Ministry of Defense confirmed the liberation of Davydiv Brod by Ukrainian troops, which is the village from which I showed you the video where the Russian torture chamber was found. Iran did not support the annexation of Kherson, Zaporizhia, Luhansk, and Donetsk, despite the fact that it supplies the Russian army with combat drones and kamikaze drones. Foreign Ministry spokesman Nasser Kanani said that Iran emphasizes full respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all states and recognizes this as a rule of international law and respect for the principles of the UN Charter. So Iran is basically saying, oh crap, we have a lot of our own issues that we need to deal with. Our regime is falling. We made some money off of Russia. We clearly chose a very wrong partner because the US right now is going to support the Iranian protesters, and the US is going to benefit from this because obviously no one wants a dictatorial regime in Iran. And oopsie doopsie, we're now going to try and change our narrative, and we're going to try to separate from Russia because oopsie doopsie, basically. And I know I'm using very, very dumbed down language here, but that's pretty much what it sounds like. They're like, oh, no. We've always supported sovereignty of nations, and we never ever wanted Ukraine to be in this position. And what Iranian drones? What Iranian drones? What drones? What drones? The first and second power units of the temporarily occupied ZNPP are mined. This was stated by the former head of the State Inspectorate for Nuclear Regulation, Grigory Plechkov. According to him, all nuclear power units of ZNPP are now in a state of cold shutdown. We are receiving reports of Russia's attempts to transfer the ZNPP under its jurisdiction. It is also known that the first and second blocks are mined. Plechkov said, adding that it is difficult to predict the actions of the occupiers. So Russia continues to engage in nuclear terrorism. Obviously, this is not something that we didn't know. Actually, this is really funny. I have these quotes that any one of you can trigger on Twitch by saying ! quote. And I've picked out a lot of quotes that I really liked. And so I'm going to read this one because I really like it. It's quote number 15, and it says, I don't really know what American is. I know what Ukrainian is. We're happy Slavic people. We're not Dostoevsky Slavic people. There's this sense of pick it up, get your hands dirty, make the best of it, celebrate. Nina Arianda. So I really like this quote, especially amid, saying that Russians would engage in nuclear terrorism. Ukrainians would never do that, no matter what we're doing, because we value human life. Привіт. We value human life, and we value humans. We value all life, as you might have noticed through, multiples of our soldiers saving puppies on their, literally under bullets. Western countries do not see signs of activity related to Russia's nuclear potential, writes Reuters. Finland is preparing a new batch of military aid to Ukraine. The Minister of Defense of Finland said that the preparations for sending the 9th batch of military aid to Ukraine are nearing completion. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said during the Warsaw Security Forum that nuclear blackmail is another tool to intimidate Ukraine and the free world. Putin sees that the only way to win for Russia is to escalate the war and create the impression in the EU that Russia will not back down a single step, but in reality, everything is different. The Prime Minister said he noted that EU assistance to Ukraine should be on par with the United States. So here's the thing, what Morawiecki is saying and what I have been saying this whole time is that Putin is trying to blackmail Europe and Putin is trying to blackmail basically the collective West, right? And we are giving into it. We're giving into it because he's actually not going to do these things. He's not going to do he has more chances of doing these things if we act the way that we have been acting. He has more chances of doing something terrible if the US does not put its fist down, right? Or if Europe does not put its fist down, because the more we let him get away with this stuff, the more vague we are, the more we show him that we don't know, we're kind of scared, but kind of not. The more Stoltenberg is standing on stage going like, the more Putin just is like, okay, well, they're not going to do anything. So I can do whatever I want to do. But if they threaten him, and if they threaten him in front of the whole world, not privately, not, we in the US have been privately telling Putin that we are going to respond. But no. In the face of the whole world, directly tell him how it is and tell him what you are going to do if he uses a nuclear weapon. Tell him what you can do and tell him how you are more powerful than he is. And you know it, and you have zero doubt that you are, and that if he tries to cross you, he's over with. He's not going to do it. He's just testing your boundaries. He's testing the boundaries, and the more boundary and the more vagueness, the more ambiguity you give him, the more he's like, you know what? I've done so much already, and no one has actually given any reaction to it other than sanctions. Why not? I feel like the West is scared of giving him a very, very strict direct response because what if he reacts then? But the thing is, no, he's going to react if we keep giving him a not straight direct response. In Finland, the last monument to Lenin was dismantled. The bust stood in the city of Kotka. The European Commission delivered 5 million iodine tablets to Ukraine for people living near nuclear power plants. Russia is fully committed to the statement on the inadmissibility of starting a nuclear war, the Russian Foreign Ministry said. NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg officially received Ukraine's application to join the alliance, Deputy Head of the Office of the President, Ihor Zhovko. The next step should be to discuss the application with all NATO member countries. Estonia handed over 3 DJI Mini 2 drones to Ukraine. The drones were confiscated from a Russian trucker who transported them for the occupying army. He collected money for drones and social networks. The purchase of quadcopters in Estonia was recognized as participation or support for an act of aggression by a foreign state. So yeah, There we go. This Russian trucker collected money to get 3 drones for the Russian army, and instead he ended up buying it for the Ukrainian army because it got confiscated in Estonia. So thank you, Estonians. You are wonderful. Finland plans to isolate itself from Russia with a fence. The country has a land border with the Russian Federation with a length of about 1.3 thousand kilometers. According to the Finnish border guard, a fixed fence is required for a 260-kilometer section. The cost of the project will amount to hundreds of millions of euros, and construction will take approximately 3 to 4 years. But it really makes sense that Finland wants to do that, and I'm really happy that Finland is taking steps to absolutely separate from Russia and decolonize from Russia, because the Baltics have suffered from a silent Russian invasion for a very long time. Russians have just been moving there to get European salaries and live a better life, and basically staying there and dictating their own rules and imposing Russian into the Baltic schools and Russifying the population, and nobody has ever done anything about it, and they weren't able to do anything about it, and now they can, and that's really, really great to see. Thank you for subscribing, Eric. Welcome to the Spy Lair. I've missed saying that. I don't think I've had any new subscriptions in a very long time. In a telephone conversation with Volodymyr Zelensky, US President Joe Biden announced a new $625 million aid package, including HIMARS, artillery systems and ammunition, and armored vehicles. Thank you. The World Bank has improved its forecast for the growth of Ukraine's gross domestic product in 2023 from 2.1% to 3.3%. And in 2024, it'll reach 4.1%. This is reported in the Economic Outlook report. In June, it was expected that the fall of the Ukrainian economy would be 45.1%. And now the World Bank is talking about 35%. It's kind of amazing in how Ukraine has been able to recover itself and how we've been doing everything in order to help on every front. Like, one of the things that does actually genuinely really help it does really help is like shopping Ukrainian and buying Ukrainian products, which is why in the beginning of the stream I introduced you to laleka.support. I'm going to return the banner, and it's an amazing Ukrainian initiative. It's a volunteer initiative where they created a marketplace with many Ukrainian brands together for your convenience, so you can find them and shop them, and they deliver abroad. Thank you, Мар'яна. Так ви можете розмовляти українською, чи це ефір для американців? По-перше, не на українській, а українською. Тому що на русском. А в нас це розмовляти українською мовою. Я можу розмовляти українською мовою, але це є ефір для англомовних людей. Це завжди є ефір для англомовних людей, тому що у мене англомовна аудиторія, я проживаю в Нью-Йорку. Yeah. It's kind of crazy how Ukraine has been able to really, really, sustain itself, and I'm really proud of it, and it makes me really happy. The armed forces of Ukraine liberated more than 50 settlements in the Kherson region. This was stated by the first deputy minister of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, Yevhen Anyin. He added that mobile checkpoints began to operate in the region. So the armed forces of Ukraine liberated more than 50 settlements in Kherson region. That is incredible. And I can't wait for the news that are going to break out in the next couple of days. Combat Ukrainian aircraft strikes the occupiers. That is all I have here, and let me check Kyiv Independent, because we always do recap through short bullet points through Kyiv Independent. Kherson is the most difficult of the 4 regions. Yes, it is, because Kherson is a plain. I've been talking about it a lot on my previous streams, and like normally I analyze, for those of you who are new here, I analyze a lot of like warfare, I analyze a lot of strategy, I give you geopolitical context, historical context, and stuff like that, and I do try to do my best to analyze warfare, right? And one of the reasons why Kherson is one of the most difficult places to actually conduct warfare, and the reason why this is so impressive, is because Kherson is a plain. It's a plain of wheat fields. And so there are no like forests, there are not that many foresty areas. It's just an open terrain, which is really, really hard, because it's hard for you to get unnoticed. It's hard for you to hide. It's awful. Wait, Spulin, you spent 4 months in occupied Kherson? Really? Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. Would you would you mind talking to me for a video about it? Could I do an interview with you? I would love to do that, and I would love for people to find out more about your experience. But obviously I don't know, I mean, I'm not a reporter, so I'm not sleuthy. I'm not trying to find out, how did it feel when you knew that the Russians were right around the corner. I want to, like, one of the purposes of this channel is for me to amplify Ukrainian voices, and just, I'd rather, it's not like I don't have any like sleuthy questions to ask you. I would just want you to speak on what you think is important for the world to know. That's all. And if you'd like that, then, well, let me follow you so I could message you and we could talk about it. Okay, Putin may still be looking to redirect blame for recent Russian military failures in Kharkiv Oblast. Update. Woman killed as a result of Russian attack on Kharkiv. Russia's attacks kill 1 in Donetsk Oblast, injure 4 in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. UK intelligence, late start of autumn conscription shows Russia's poor mobilization abilities. North Korea supports Russia's annexation of Ukrainian territories. Of course they do. Of course they do. North Korea has supported sham referendums that Russia had held in occupied parts of Zaporizhia, Kherson, Donetsk, and Luhansk Oblast on September 23rd to 27th, claiming they were organized in keeping with the UN Charter. Yeah. The Korean News Central Agency reported on October 4th. We support the Russian government's stand on making the above said regions the composition of Russia, said Jo Chol-soo, Director General of Internal Organizations at Pyongyang's Foreign Ministry. Sure, definitely in compliance with the UN. That's exactly how a dictator would respond. Of course, for you, a sham referendum, an armed sham referendum, is exactly what the UN supports. Musk claims he still supports Ukraine as Zelensky drags him on Twitter for pro-Russian statement. President Volodymyr Zelensky replied to Elon Musk's Twitter post about Russia's war in Ukraine by asking people to vote on which Musk they liked better, the one supporting Ukraine or Russia. The CEO of SpaceX and Tesla wrote back to Zelensky, "I still very much support Ukraine, but I'm convinced that massive escalation of the war will cause great harm to Ukraine and possibly the world." Yeah, and you know how massive escalation of this war is going to happen? If someone does not tame Putin. Because at the end of the day, he might be okay for now, and then he's going to come back for more, because that's how greed works, and that's how getting away with things works. The Times, Putin prepares to test nuclear weapons on Ukraine's borders. A train operated by Russian secretive nuclear division was spotted in central Russia moving towards Ukraine. The Times reports, citing a Poland-based defense analyst, Konrad Muzyka. Russia's defense ministry claims 200,000 men already conscripted for war in Ukraine. Reuters says IMF to consider 1.3 billion in emergency funding for Ukraine. Estonian president calls Ukraine worthy ally, backs its NATO bid. Forbes Russia, 700,000 people have left Russia since mobilization began. Ukrainian forces reportedly liberate more settlements in Kherson and Kharkiv Oblast. New evidence of Russian war crimes found at Izum mass burial site. And I'm going to play you this video. It is a little longer, so it might take a second, but it says this mass burial site in Izum, Kharkiv Oblast, was discovered after the city's liberation from Russian occupation on September 10th. It contained 447 bodies. Some of the bodies had signs of torture, according to Ukrainian police. Да, слава России, когда Россия получит туалеты. Тогда можете сидеть на туалете и говорить слава России. А до этого, ну, как-то стрёмно говорить слава России. Слава России, когда ты знаешь, что даже в толчок не можешь спокойно внутри сходить. Ну, скоро зима будет, тебе холодно будет срать на улице, чувак. Ну, как-то, ну, не знаю. Ты вон потратил деньги купить компьютер, чтобы работать на этой дебильной работе, а туалет купить не можешь. Ну, вот странно получается. Приоритеты такие у вас странные, честное слово. Sorry, I really love responding to Russian bots in Russian, you know. I really love. Oh, yes, of course. Of course. Of course. Of course, Julian is a troll. Don't you worry. You know, everybody here is a troll. I'm a troll. You know, I'm a troll. I'm a Ukrainian troll. You're a Russian troll. I'm a Ukrainian troll. Except here is the difference, you know. I have my own opinion, okay, and I troll you with my own opinion. You troll me with a pre-made copy-paste thing, and you make money, and then you go spend them on vodka, and you go spend them on paying internet bills to be able to make money, right? But money doing this. Instead, you could be doing something useful, and you could use your money to buy a toilet, and you then won't have to want to go to Ukraine into conscription into Ukrainian cities because you won't need to steal toilets anymore, because you could do something with your life, you know? It's just like, I understand it's so hard to understand for Russian people, but like, Jesus Christ, there are so many better things you could be doing than this. And like, honestly, it's not your man or anything, but like, really, it's so like, you know, outrageous to me that instead of adding to your household by, you know, buying necessary things and making your life easier, you like to sit here and scream at me that Russia will win and Russia is, you know, a big superpower, while you are quite literally probably doing this through Ethernet connection. And again, in the winter, it's gonna be cold to shit outside. I would say, honey bunny, you save this troll money and get a better job, because at some point when Russia falls and Russia like loses, you know, there will be no this job anymore. And you won't be able to troll people online anymore for money, because Russian government won't have money to pay you for this stupidity. Wait, sorry. Like, Jesus Christ, honestly. Like, I don't understand. If you need some advice, I give free advice to Russian trolls on this channel. Seriously. I'm happy to. Just I feel so bad for you, you know? How can one be so, I don't even know, special?
Зараз ми перебуваємо на місці масового захоронення цивільних громадян, які були в тому числі вбиті військовослужбовцями Російської Федерації, загинули внаслідок авіаударів та мінометних обстрілів у місті Ізюм. Візуально оглянувши ці тіла, частина з них було виявлено ознаки катувань, у деяких осіб були зв'язані руки за спиною, деякі особи були сколото різаними ранами та іншими частинами тіла. Також підтверджено було те, що люди загинули внаслідок мінометних обстрілів. Це були виявлені сліди від поранення від уламків снарядів та характерні на одежі вирізи. тим, що представники окупаційної влади захоронювали громадян лише в одежі, без відсутність гробів або навіть мішків. Тіла перебувають в стані гнилісних змін, тому більше детальна інформація та повна картина буде у слідства лише після проведення судово-медичних експертиз, які вже призначені по всім вилученим тілам на даний час.
Нас бомбили в погребі за мною, мужа вбила сразу. А моя свекруха, вона 7 числа од нас пішла за документами. Вона проживає на Первомайську. Вулиця Первомайська, мост дерев'яний. І от вона не прийшла, її там було з самолітом було.
Okay, so this was the Kyiv Independent. На цьому ефірі зараз менше людей, тому що інша людина, яка має більше підписників зараз в ефірі, яка також говорить про Україну. NATO Secretary General receives Ukraine's bid for membership. Ambassadors of NATO member states will discuss the application in Brussels, Igor Zhovko, deputy head of the president's office, said. President Volodymyr Zelensky said on September 30th that Ukraine would apply for fast-track NATO accession shortly after Russian dictator Vladimir Putin declared the illegal annexation of 4 Ukrainian regions. 9 European countries have signed a joint statement in favor of Ukraine joining NATO. Ukraine's central bank chief Kyrylo Shevchenko resigns. Shevchenko, the chairman of the National Bank of Ukraine, attributed his resignation to health reasons. Shevchenko told Bloomberg on December 10th that he had endured political pressure since his appointment in 2020. In October 2021, Bloomberg reported that President Volodymyr Zelensky wanted to fire Shevchenko. Zelensky has publicly questioned Shevchenko's performance and even said that he regretted appointing him. However, Zelensky said in November 2021 that he had no immediate plans to replace Shevchenko, but may change his opinion in a month. So yeah, he most likely this was not just health reasons. It was most likely just he was asked to resign because he wasn't effective. Biden announces $625 million security assistance package to Ukraine. Ukraine to receive $500 million loan from World Bank. Russian parliament approves annexation of Ukrainian occupied territories. The Federation Council, the Russian parliament's upper house, on October 4th unanimously rubber-stamped the illegal annexation following its approval by the Constitutional Court and the State Duma, the parliament's lower house. To become Russian law, the annexation bill must be signed by Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. On September 30th, Putin signed treaties to illegally annex Ukraine's Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson oblasts after staging sham referendums in the areas. The United Nations, the US, and other Western countries have opposed the annexation of the Ukrainian territories by Russia. So they're like, signing the annexation of territories they don't even control. And the annexation of regions where their army is running faster than the speed of light. But that's okay. I mean, to each their own. Ukraine war latest. Ukraine advances 30 kilometers in Kherson Oblast. Settlements liberated. Ukrainian forces continue to make substantial gains in Kherson Oblast. President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed that Ukraine liberated dozens of settlements since October 1st. Life near Russian-occupied nuclear power plant. I don't know if tomorrow will come. Abductions and torture make it close to impossible for employees to work properly at the local nuclear power plant, the biggest one in Europe. Taking your health is the minimum sentence Russia gives you. Taking your life is the maximum. Anastasia, a citizen, told Kyiv Independent. For this story, we talked to residents who are still in Russian-occupied Enerhodar and those who recently left but still have family in the city. And this is a very interesting article on Kyiv Independent. I'm going to link it straight in the description of this video. So give me one second, so I can link it in the description so you can read about it whenever you want to. I'm going to put it in right now so I don't forget. It's going to be in the description right under the link to Shop Ukrainian Goods, and you should be able to access it from now on. It's a very good article, and I highly recommend that you read it. It gives you a lot of perspective on what life is like in cities occupied by Russia. Ukrainian army confirms liberation of 8 villages in Kherson Oblast. Любимівка, Хрещенівка, Золота Балка, Білаївка, Українка, Велика Олександрівка, Мала Олександрівка, and Давидів Брід, Operational Command South, said. According to police, another Russian torture chamber was discovered in Kharkiv Oblast. We did see that today during the stream. Governor says Russians try to set a border in Zaporizhia Oblast after annexation. The attempt to create a border follows Russia's illegal annexation of Ukraine's Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. As a result of the annexation, Russian authorities have banned local men of the age subject to conscription from leaving Russian-occupied territories in Zaporizhia Oblast. Pentagon to send HIMARS howitzers artillery rounds to Ukraine. Oligarch Kolomoisky seen at National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine. Ihor Kolomoisky spent about 45 minutes at the Kyiv office of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine. Ukrainian investigative journalism outlet Bihus Info reported. Detectives searched Kolomoisky's apartment in September and were expected to question him on October 4th. The search was part of an embezzlement case into oil company Ukernafta. Kolomoisky has not been charged in the case yet and denies wrongdoing. Of course he does. One of the most shadiest Ukrainian oligarchs. Well, that is all I have for you for tonight. So let me know if you have any questions, suggestions, or anything like that. Otherwise, please follow me on Twitter, same handle as here. And you will be seeing lots of news because I repost a lot of stuff. I have posted a new Tork quote on Patreon yesterday, and it's from part 2 of the interview. The interview is coming out in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that as well. Also, if you are not a member of Patreon, but you would like to support my initiative in bringing you valuable information and being able to give it the highest quality humanly possible, please sign up for my Patreon. The cheapest subscription is $10 a month, and it will bring you a lot more power over who I interview and what you guys would like to see on this channel. You will also be the first to see the second part, third part, and fourth part of the Tork interview before it airs to everybody else. In fact, 24 hours in advance. And also, I am posting every other day quotes from Tork's next interview that you are able to read on Patreon before it airs. Also, if you still haven't seen the interview with Tork, let me play you a little bit of it so you can go check it out for yourself. I think it's very important that you guys watch it because it is an Azov regiment serviceman, a defender of Azovstal, a hero of Ukraine, a native of Mariupol who is talking about nationalism, Nazism, and what it means for him to be a part of Azov. And in the next one, he's going to be talking about his journey from Mariupol to Azovstal. In the next one, about Russian captivity. And in the next one, well, it's a bit of a surprise, but he does address Russians if they watch the interview. And there was something else. Oh, Netlin, when is the Zoom happening? This Thursday. I will post about it after this stream. I'm sorry, I've been so busy that I've been forgetting to do things, but this Thursday, it's always going to be the first Thursday of the month. So yes, let me do this. I am going to go on to my YouTube. Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. The little skateboard one. I love it. But let me get onto my YouTube so I can get to Tork's interview and I can get to the part that I find might be good. Here,
Nazism is an
let's do this. I'm going to play it here. I'm going to share my screen. Also, yeah, guys, please don't forget to like this stream because then it'll be visible to more people and then more people can get the news from Ukraine. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So here you go. Let me share the screen with you. I'll pick up my phone. Tork interview is on my YouTube. And if you haven't...
Well, it's rather an annihilation or a genocide of that nation, yeah.
Okay, and nationalism for you is protection? Protection of your nation?
No. It's rather holding your nation dear, cherishing it. Cherishing in no way means destroying other nations. A bright example of the fight between nationalism and Nazism is the war in Ukraine. That same war started in 2014, but now it's much more pronounced. And for some reason, being called from the other side a special operation, even though we all see what's happening. Yeah, that's it. I mean, specifically the clash between two terminologies.
Well, actually, the term special operation is very funny to me. I went on chat roulette recently and stumbled upon a vivid example of the Russian brainwashing. Of all that Russian propaganda. I asked him, why does he think the war started? And he immediately stopped me and said, it's not a war, it's special operation. So I asked him what's the difference between the war and the special operation is. His answer, the war is serious weapons and special operation is light weapons. So I then wanted to clarify what Russia considers heavy weapons if half the cities in Ukraine are destroyed. To which he said, it's not Ukraine, it's Donbass. Donbass is not Ukraine.
Oh yeah, they also, for some reason, like calling Mariupol Donbass, but it's Priazovia.
Sorry. If you guys haven't watched it yet, please go and watch it. It's a great interview. You guys will love Tork. He's a very, very, very charming fella. He is very pleasant to talk to. He also is very open. And the second part of the interview with him is coming out soon. He's amazing. We've become pretty friendly, I would say. We're pretty good friends at this point. Or pretty friends at this point. Him and his fiance are getting married soon. They want to sign the paperwork and they don't want to wait for anything. He's also going to talk about how he proposed to her in part 4, I believe. So you guys will get some very, very interesting details about his life. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for standing with Ukraine, and thank you for being here all the time, every day, and thank you for being so awesome. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.